On a Sunday in early September, when there was still more than half a month before the Mid-Autumn Festival in the August of the lunar calendar, Xiaoqing found my cousin and me, saying that Uncle Kwa wanted to invite us to his house to play, first, to recognize the place, and second, to let us see the chicken nest crickets that Uncle Kwa had taken away. My cousin and I happily went with Xiaoqing. Uncle Kwa and Xiaoqing do not live in our town, but in the city dozens of kilometers away from our town. It takes about half an hour by bus. Along the way, Xiaoqing knew that we had a lot of questions to ask, and in order to satisfy our curiosity, Xiaoqing answered all of them. From the conversation, we learned that Uncle Kui worked at a university in the city and managed the logistics department. Xiaoqing is a distant relative of Uncle Kui and works in a dyeing and printing factory in the city. Xiaoqing, like us when she was a child, also liked to play cricket, and it has been 5 years since he officially entered the industry with Uncle Kui. Speaking of Uncle Kui, according to Xiaoqing, Uncle Kui and Mr. Xu are both cricket families, and they have been passed down from generation to generation in this industry. Uncle Kui's house is located in the northern suburbs of the city and is an old-fashioned southern house. A creek in front of the house, meandering in the willows on the bank, stealthily lurking away. The surrounding environment is quiet and tranquil compared to the hustle and bustle of the city. When we arrived, Uncle Kui was already in front of the door to greet us. After entering the door is a courtyard. After the courtyard, we'll go up the steps into a porch-winding road. The winding road is connected to the main hall. On both sides is the wing room and the ear room, etc. A total of 2 before and after. Uncle Kui said as he walked that their family originally had a house in the city, which was the property of their ancestors, which was confiscated during the Cultural Revolution, and returned the place the year before the implementation of the policy. After we were welcomed directly into the living room and seated, Xiaoqing served tea. That's when I heard the crickets sound in the can. Uncle Kui noticed that my eyes were searching for the source of the cricket sound, so he got up and led us into an ear room connected to the living room. When we opened the door, we saw 3 rows of wooden shelves in front of us and a row of cricket canisters on the floor, a total of no less than 70 or 80. According to Uncle Kui, some of them are Chengni clay pots handed down from the Ming dynasty, which have good air permeability, but the price is expensive. Uncle Kui found our chicken nest crickets according to the number on the can, and gently opened the lid of the can for us to watch. Unbelievably, the tail of crickets was almost unrecognizable to me, under Uncle Kui's careful feeding for less than a month. It turned out that the light blue of the whole body had turned into a purple light, but a dense layer of blue fluff had grown on the neck. I asked Uncle Kui, in the Mid-Autumn Festival in August, "Are you going to fight with it?" "Little brother, this cricket of yours belongs to the high-grade purple category, but its maturity period is late, and the best fighting period is around the end of October in the solar calendar. I collected it early, first, for fear that you would play with it all day long and get hurt, and secondly, I had to take care of it and feed it during this period. It takes hundreds of crickets to find one of these good varieties, and I can only get one in 2 or 3 years." Listening to Uncle Kwa talk about the types of crickets, it immediately aroused my long-standing questions and curiosity. Then I asked, "How can you tell if a cricket is good or bad?" Uncle Kui saw that I had asked the point, but he didn't answer immediately, but only smiled slightly and led us to his study room. Uncle Kui's study room was full of dazzling colors, and the shelves were full of various books. There is also a closet in the study room. I opened the closet door, and it was full of thread-bound ancient books. According to Uncle Kui, his ancestors were in the printing and dyeing industry, and when he arrived at his grandfather's generation, he fell in love with playing cricket. Perhaps it is the common hobby of all the children of rich families, in addition to their own business. Chess, piano, calligraphy, and painting, flowers, birds, fish, and insects are inevitably touched, but once you enter the cricket line, you can no longer let go, you can't leave. The Kui family is still wealthy, and there are his Kui family's businesses or factories in several towns in the south of the Yangtze River. Later, all the way to the public-private partnership nationalization, until the Cultural Revolution confiscated the family property was gone, but only the box of ancestral cricket books, because it was transferred to the countryside early, survived. My cousin pointed to the thread-bound ancient books and asked my uncle, "Is this what people often call cricket scores?" Uncle Kui smiled and replied, In fact, there is no book that can be called a complete cricket spectrum, and there is too much knowledge in this industry. Our ancestors have been playing crickets since the Song dynasty, and they have been passed down to this day. But taking our Quay family's decades of experience in playing crickets, there are some ancient books that are not recorded. After Uncle Quay finished speaking, he took out a set of 2 books from under the thread-bound book layer and handed them to us. This is the cricket introduction that my Quay family printed. You can take it and read it. You are now cannot understand what is in the old books. When Xiaoqing studied with me back then, he also started with these 2 books. And after reading them, you need to return them to me, and you couldn't pass them on to others. My cousin and I had a great time at Uncle Qua's house that day, but I kept thinking about reading those 2 cricket primers, and I had no other thoughts on playing with them. Later, Xiaoqing told us on the way to send us home. Uncle Qua sent this set of cricket's books to the entrance can be regarded as a thank you for the good cricket we gave to him, and once again made an appointment with us to see the fighting crickets during the Mid-Autumn Festival. When we were about to break up, Xiaoqing emphatically conveyed Uncle Qua's instructions. Only look at it and don't ask questions at that time, and ask Yaoqing afterwards if you have questions. In the few days I came back from Uncle Qua's house, I was driven by curiosity and plunged headlong into the 2 cricket primers. The first volume of these 2 books talks about cricket identification, and the second volume talks about cricket feeding. All of them are written in small block letters in Song style, the text is beautiful, the language is fluent, but there is no author. Only a line of small characters is written on the title page, Quay Family Collection. It was the guidance of these 2 books that brought me into a world of crickets that I had never known before. Now, from memory, I can still recall the following descriptions, so that you may be interested in reading it, and those who are not interested should skip this section. Good varieties of crickets are mainly divided into 3 main categories: yellow, blue, and purple. Each category is subdivided as follows: yellow positive yellow, green yellow, purple yellow, oil yellow, withered yellow, green positive green, yellow green, purple blue, oil green, withered green, purple, positive purple, yellow purple, blue purple, oil purple, withered purple. There is no good or bad distinction between the classes of the above famous categories, only the difference between the mature and fighting periods. Generally, yellow crickets mature early, about August and September of the solar calendar. The green crickets are moderate, about September and October, and the purple crickets are the latest, about October and November. In addition to the above authentic classification, there are many famous circuits that are not authentic and classified according to body shape and color, mainly including crab shell green, 3-segment brocade, big waist drum, chicken cricket, coating, crispy whiskers, etc. I'll talk about that later, but I'll skip it here. It is said that there is no good or bad between classes, but in general, there are exceptions. The biggest exception is the, quote, purple-yellow category. This kind of cricket is the king of categories, and some ancient books say that it is the best that is rare in 100 years. Legend has it that during the reign of Emperor Lizong of the Southern Song dynasty, someone in Hangzhou caught this cricket, and then it was sent to the palace by the state and county officials, so the people were not able to see it. Because the purple and yellow class is extremely rare, the folk often say that the top cricket that wins in a region is purple and yellow, but in fact, if it is strictly classified, it is rarely the real purple and yellow. So how to tell if a cricket caught from the wild belongs to one of the above famous categories, or a miscellaneous species that does not belong to the category? There are 3 main steps. The first step is to look at the headline, the second step is to look at the color, and the third step is to listen to the sound. The headline is also called bucket line, which means the same thing anyway. Friends who love fighting crickets must have noticed that each cricket has 2 faint white lines on its head. These 2 white lines will bend as they approach the end and tail. Some bend inward into the inner figure, and some outward into the outer figure. The headline of each cricket is different, just like our human fingerprints. However, our ancestors have classified and summarized these headlines in long-term practice, and classified some particularly brave and warlike cricket headlines into the above combinations. Generally speaking, the clearer the headline of a cricket, and the longer it is, the better the variety of crickets. On the contrary, the more blurred and shorter the headline, the the worse the variety, that is, the more incapable of fighting. Perhaps from today's genetic point of view, the headline of crickets reflects the characteristics of the aggressive gene in crickets. Since crickets are hybridized with each other in the wild, it is likely that a famous male cricket will give birth to offspring with a miscellaneous female cricket and lose its precious species. And we humans happen to be able to catch a famous cricket among the thousands of crickets growing in the wild, so the probability of catching a good cricket is still relatively small. Recently I saw reports that it was found that every male cricket has a win-loss switch inside it that controls the reproduction of the cricket. If a male cricket loses the fight, it may still mate with a female cricket, but it will not be able to reproduce descendant. If this report is true, it shows that the cricket colony itself has a function to prevent the population from degenerating into a subspecies. This is off topic, my topic. According to my personal observation, I can catch a cricket-like insect in the field, commonly known as oil hyacinth, which is similar in shape to crickets and larger than crickets. But putting two oil hyacinths together will not fight. If you look at the head of the oil hyacinth, you can't see the headline like a cricket. In North America, we catch crickets in the summer and fall, but they don't fight. If you look at its head, you can't find the headline either. So there is no doubt that the headline of Chinese crickets must be related to the aggressive habits of crickets. Uncle Kwa's book has detailed descriptions and graphics of the headline of each type of famous cricket, as well as the color characteristics of each famous cricket. As for the chirping, the yellow crickets have a loud and rich call, the green crickets have a crisp and high-pitched call, and the purple crickets also have a crisp, but contain a special sand sound that is easy to distinguish. For the identification of a cricket, if it meets the above three basic principles, then it is basically a good cricket, and the next thing is to look at its auxiliary characteristics. Ancillary features include the color of the abdomen and sides, as well as the thighs and the color of the teeth. The general rule is that regardless of the color of the head or back, the lighter the color of the abdomen and sides, as well as the thighs, the better, and the more solid the color tends to be of one color, the better. The best varieties should have a belly color like our finger belly, white and red, with few black or yellow spots, but this kind of good breed is rarely seen. In addition to the good varieties of crickets, Uncle Kwa's book also has a characteristic description of the bad varieties, that is, the crickets that are not good at fighting. What I can still remember is, the two ribs are white, the battle will be defeated, the headline broken, escape from a fight, soy sauce head, bite and go. In addition to the two white-headed lines on the head of each cricket also has two white lines on each side of its body wings, commonly known as rib white. The whiter and clearer the headline, the better, but the whiter the ribs, the whiter and clearer, the worse. If you catch a cricket with two clearly visible ribs, you can't expect it to be able to defeat its opponents, no matter how good it is and how valuable it is. Similarly, if a cricket has a break in the middle of its headline, it cannot be expected to be able to defeat its opponent. The so-called soy sauce head cricket refers to the color of the head of the cricket, which is neither red nor black, but the muddy soy sauce color, and the headline is also difficult to see. Although the aforementioned two-ribbed white or broken headline can't be on the formal cricket fighting scene, he can usually take a few bites while fighting, but the soy sauce head can't fight at all, and he will leave as soon as he touches the enemy. All in all, the above three types of bad varieties of crickets are taboo for cricket keepers, and ordinary people will not make such mistakes. With the above knowledge in hand, I also understood why Xiaoqing could roughly judge who won and who lost when two ordinary crickets fought each other, and why Uncle Kwa kept looking at the cricket's head with a magnifying glass. However, book knowledge can only become knowledge that you have truly mastered when it is repeatedly used and verified in practice, and this principle is the same as that of identifying a horse, a good runner or not, and a pigeon a good flyer or not. For identifying crickets, the complication lies in the fact that a cricket may not belong to any of the family categories described in the book, but more or less occupy one side, and you have to judge the advantages and disadvantages of these miscellaneous crickets. It would have to be done hundreds or even thousands of times. In addition, I was driven by curiosity, freshness, and excitement at that time, and I was quietly waiting for the start of the cricket conference at Uncle Kwa's place during the Mid-Autumn Festival.
Dear friends, this episode of Brother Zhang's story has been broadcasted. The next episode will continue to publish 2 days later at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't forget to hit like it and press subscribe button before you go. Thank you.